Hey, Nick Collier here. It's a nice crisp autumn morning, although no steam coming out of my mouth, so it's not that cold. Um, but um, I was invited to come down to Malibu this next weekend and do a couple of our workshops. And at the same time, the person who is going to host the workshops said, "Hey, why don't you bring your jewelry down?" And I went, well, hey, that's a pretty good idea because, I got pretty expensive jewelry. And but I can't just lay it out on the table. Not that anybody else steal it or anything. It's just that, fingerprints and that whole thing. So I need to put it under glass. And it's always kind of expected to have gold under glass anyhow. So I started with this kind of a sheet of old dusty scrap glass that I had laying around, and I always have glass laying around because I know I'm going to use it in some place or another. And so I started with that piece, and I measured down, just kind of randomly cutting pieces, and basically just dropped my T-square across there, etched the glass, cracked it, and broke it into a much smaller, and I cleaned it too. Mostly I cleaned it to make sure that I didn't have any major scratches in this, so that when I set it, it's it's going to kind of look like a new piece of glass. So randomly came up with this shape. Now I need to build a frame around it, and so starting with the mahogany flooring that we seem to have so much scrap laying around because these pieces wouldn't fit the next rung in the flooring. I thought, wow, this is really great wood. Why not use this? So I took it and ripped it, and you can see the rip. I ripped the floor at a 45, or the flooring at a 45, and then took out the tongue, or the groove. You can see the groove here, and there's the tongue there. So I took out both the tongue and the groove, and then cut a slice down the center of this, and you can kind of see it like that. And this is where the glass is going to land. Let's see if we can get that up into there. There we go. So the glass will land in that little groove. Then I'm going to come in behind that, put just a little strip of wood, and then just glue the whole thing in, and forget it. So and then I cut 45s. So now what I'm building is a frame around this piece of glass, and then eventually I'm going to come in with this smaller piece of wood, and I cut 45s here, and the smaller piece of wood is going to sit right there and create the kind of the depth for the frame. And now that I'm looking at it, this doesn't look like a 45. Yeah, it's pretty close. Might be a couple degrees off. So basically what I'm working on right now is I'm cutting these wedges on my chop saw. So I'll swing you over there, and we'll watch that happening. Alright, the first edge, which is the outer, doesn't really matter which edge it is, just as long as I have the cut correct. And that's going to be, this goes to the outside, so my cut, and I always come in and kind of strike a line in a place where I'm not going to be. So that's going to kind of lay in right about like that. And if you're doing any kind of work like this, you can buy those cheap chop saws, but well, man, I set this thing up when I first bought it, and it was out just a little bit, because whoever assembled it didn't quite get it real accurate. But I brought it into super accuracy, and I swear to God, I've had this for 3 years now, and it hasn't dropped out one bit. Not only that, but I haven't had to change the blade once. So, and I have a new blade in there waiting, but it keeps cutting real clean cuts. So we're going to go ahead and just chop all of these up. Yeah. I cut them all extra long so that so I got plenty of room to play with. All right, let's go back over to the glass. All right, so we've got the one piece is cut on both ends, and it's all set to go. Now we have to figure out the other edges. And my glass didn't, because it's a really cold day, my glass didn't cut real clean. But if you look at this edge here, there's what, 3/8 of an inch. So I've got almost 3/4 of an inch of play that I can put into this glass and not even think about it. All right, so then we just come in, let's get this thing up a little bit. Come in, no, not that way. Okay. There we go. We could probably put this one, no? Hang on. Alright, I cut them all wrong. It goes this way. But I think I got enough room, and I always have extras so that I do have enough room in those situations. Let's see which one's the longest here. Okay, there's the second one. Bring that in. Bring our glass in a little bit further. And that's pretty good layout. Now, this is the back side of the frame, so we're not really looking at that at this point right now. But our next one wants to be, let's get this a little bit further out. Okay, and it wants to be right about there. Okay, then our next one wants to be here. Okay, now I kind of spun off into this really weird land. I'm going to show you what I got here, and into creative land here. So I've dropped these 3 pieces, or these 4 pieces in, but you know, look at it. It just kind of, it looks terrible. I just, you know, I can't do anything with that. I mean, it looks like some kind of really boring picture frame. But, and while I was playing with this, I was kind of trying to figure out what to do, you know. So now what I've done is, okay, so what if we kick this thing up, all the way up like this, and lay it in at an angle. And then the glass sits up on top here, and the jewelry is down below and inside of the glass. I love it. I love it. I think it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and start moving in this direction, and let's see what we can do with it. So a nice thing about chop saws is you can take something like this and kick it all the way up and get a 45 out of it, and then cut it, and it'll cut at that angle. So that's pretty much what I want to do here. This is going to be fairly complicated, but I like it. let's see, is that the right direction? That is the wrong direction. This is the right direction. There it is. Yeah. Okay, so now we just go ahead and rotate around to 45 degrees this way, and we cut a 45. So what I've got this 45 here, so I can land on that and just kind of push down with my thumbs and slide this thing up against the fence. Not resting against the fence, but just using it as a guide. Let's see what we've got there. Almost. Cut that weird wedge off of there. So now let's take this, and this is going to go down here like that. Swing that all the way back. And do the same thing from this angle. Yep, a little further. Just a tad further. Okay. Now let's see what that looks like. A 45 at a 45. Nice. Nice. That's going to be really good. I'm very happy with that. Now we're going to have to come in and retrim this stuff here, but that's, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. How's that look? I think that looks great. I'm going to lift you up here a little bit, give you a kind of an overhead view, and then bring it back down around sideways. Oh, now we just have to figure out how to get these edges to go together so they can be glued. First thing I got to do is come in and recut this glass groove here. So, but that's not going to be too difficult, I hope. Let's see what we got. I'm just going to cut a little scrap right here just so I've got something to have hanging around. It could actually go in and just have this raw edge sitting around it. That's not too bad, actually. Or we could come up on top here like that. No, that's not enough. Something like this might work. The problem is now once we get the glass in there, we're never going to be able to take it out again. That I don't like. So the way I see it is to come in and cut this at a 45. And then the glass would come in here like this, and you could get the glass in and out, and then just maybe come in with a little piece of furring and nail or screw a little shoulder on there. That would probably do it. All right, we're going to go rip up a couple of pieces here. Okay, we're going to adjust the blade to a 45. Oh, do we want to go 45? Wait a second. Yeah. And then this piece comes in. Uh-oh, that's not going to work. But maybe it'll work this way. Maybe it'll work this way. There it is. There it is right there. Okay, bring the fence over to this side. Bring my blade down so it just barely kind of covers it. Fence in where we can kind of get to it. Somewhere in there. That's good. Now, let's just get a piece of scrap wood here and run this into the scrap wood just to see what it's going to do. So that cuts it just about right. I mean, it just breaks it. It leaves a little bit of an edge in there for something to kind of land on. And actually, the glass could probably land on that little inside edge too. That's just about right. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, let's put this together. And we really just have to put two pieces together because we're just checking to see if everything landed correctly. That looks good. Take a little piece of scrap glass here, run it into that corner, and we can drop the glass in from the back just like that. That shouldn't be a problem. And in a sense, we could probably just glue it and have everybody be happy. And now the other problem is how to get this joint here to glue up, because it's going to be a little bit squirrely. Why? Trying to at least. I think I'm taping my back. John's sick. Put the jewelry underneath there, set it down. I mean, it really doesn't need to be safe or anything like that. It just needs to be sitting there. Okay, we got this thing trussed up. I can't believe how tight it is. All of these things are pushing it down, and these things are holding it from pushing out. And I think we're pretty well set to go here. It looks pretty good, at least. So I think what I'm going to do right now is take one set apart, glue it, and then put it back together again. And hopefully everything will kind of stay in place while I'm doing it. We've got just the slightest bit of a gap right there, which could be filled in with a little bit of glue and mixed in with some sawdust from this. And then if we come over here, we see we also have a bit of a gap right up in that end too. But these two ends are solid. Nice and square. So we just let that set up for 24 hours, and then when we come back, we're going to cut the glass, build a backing behind it, put maybe a little cloth in there or something like that, and kind of figure out a way to lay it out so that it's nice and even. It's Automobile Week, and in amongst doing all this other stuff, I'm pulling the engine apart on the Metro. We're going to probably get it back into that next week. But for right now, we got this thing glued together. It's 24 hours later, and we're hoping it's all nice and tight. So we're going to unscrew it and see what we can do. All right, let's take out some screws. Nick Collier here, and as you can see, it's about a month later, and I went into, and by the way, we had about, I don't know, we got about 8 inches of snow last night. Very fluffy snow too. Skiing would be perfect on this snow. But anyhow, I went back into, excuse me, I went back into edit and, set up the film on the display case, and I realized that I'm missing a couple of files at the end. So I think what I was going to do is just kind of walk you through where I went and what the finished product looked like. So for now, let's spin around and go back in the shop and look at all of the current projects that are going on right now. We've got still working on that Metro engine, and it turns out that last summer my little ATC, the clutch went out, and so I'm in the middle of replacing the clutch. And basically this little vehicle here is the only thing that will get us out to our car, which is about a half a mile away. Otherwise we have to walk. So this is a critical tool in snow. Those wheels just kind of get right up on top of the snow and just ride right over the top. Anyhow, let's go on over to the other project here. And here it is right here on the other side where the bench is. Okay. So what I did is I came in, we're going to flip this over, I came in and cut the glass to fit, and then I just siliconed the glass to the frame and did a little bit of sanding work, a little bit of cleanup work, just made it look nice. In fact, this hasn't even been varnished or oiled or anything. It looks great just like it is. And then I came in afterwards and built a little back. You can see just a slight piece of wood, and I wanted it to look nice on the back side and then also on the front side. So, and also I wanted a lip so this thing could sit on a lip, and that's basically what it's done. And at the time I was thinking, well, how about if I just build some hinges either here or here? And once I got done, I went, why do I need hinges? I mean, in certain situations I would need hinges, but for this situation where I went down to Malibu, basically this sat on our host kitchen table with all the jewelry. And I'll show you the photo of the actual case while the jewelry was in there. And it looked really nice. So another project done, and it's been kind of, since we got back, put all the jewelry away, and this has been sitting in my jewelry studio for almost a month now. And at some point or another in the future, we'll be taking this with us, maybe to another workshop. And by the way, this is Nick Collier, over and out.